All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back from spring break. We are in Unit 8. This is everything's going to be new for you. This is really our last unit of new stuff. Okay. All right, so let's start off with today's lesson has a little bit of things you've done in the past, which is x and y intercepts of linear equations. Linear equations are things like y equals mx plus b, like number 2, number 3, or things in standard form like number 4. Those are linear. Exponential, you've done exponential stuff. That's like questions 10 and 11. And today we're learning a new phrase, new word is quadratic equations. Quadratic equations are represented by when you see the x squared. Okay, when you see x squared, you see x squared plus like trinomials. This is all the polynomials where you factor the polynomials. Well, if you were to make it y equals this polynomial x squared plus 8x minus 20, it creates a graph. It creates a quadratic equation, and we'll show you what that means in a minute. Okay, so we're going to have to solve for the x and y intercepts of these types of equations. Now there's the way to do it. There's two easy ways to do this. The first way is, well, what I have here, if you want to get an x-intercept, you make y becomes 0 and you solve for x. And then y-intercepts, x becomes 0 and you solve for y. All right. I'll do number 2 first. Just number 2 is a linear equation, okay? And linear, so let's do the x-intercept first. I mean, honestly, we don't even really have to do the y-intercept, really. The y-intercept is super easy for all these, because you just make x, so y-intercept is the easiest one. You make x 0, so like 3 times 0, 0, okay? So for y-intercept for number 2, you just make 3 times 0 minus 12, and that is negative 12. It's also in the form of y equals mx plus b, and you get that. Now, x-intercept is you're making y 0. What I mean by y is this f of x, this is really y equals 3x minus 12. So that would be, when you're solving for the x-intercept is 0 equals 3x minus 12. So I made y into 0 and you solve for x. So 0 equals 3x minus 12. You add 12 to both sides, you get 12 is 3x. You divide by 3 on both sides, you get the x-intercept is 4. Yeah, so the x-intercept is 4. Okay. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is, well, you get a calculator. So here I am on the Desmos calculator. I'm going to type in y equals 3x minus 12. And you will see that when I type this in, excuse me, I'm going to move this video screen. I now have y equals 3x minus 12. It has a y-intercept at negative 12 right here, and it has an x-intercept at 4. Now, that's the other way to do it. Now let's do a quadratic one. Okay, so number 1's quadratic. First up, y-intercept means, you make x 0, okay? So that becomes 0 squared, which is 0, plus, well, 8 times 0 is 0, minus 20. So actually, just like with linear equations, the y-intercept is just the number that's not being multiplied times x. So the y-intercept for number 1 is negative 20. It is. Now, x-intercepts are the reason why you were taught how to factor, actually, because you're solving for, this equation. You're solving for that equals 0. Yeah, because that's y equals x squared plus 8x minus 20. and you have to solve for x when y is 0. This will give you the x-intercept. Alright, so you find factors of negative 20 that add up to positive 8. That is 10 and negative 2. So that makes the factors x minus 2 times x plus 8. I am talking like you did already understood unit 7. Alright, and that means the two x-intercepts for this one would be negative 8 and 2. So let's graph it. Let's graph it, and we can also identify and get the same thing. So it's x squared plus 8x minus 20. So let's go back up to Desmos. I go like this. I go x squared plus 8x minus 20. Okay. So when you graph quadratic equations, they make this shape. This is called a parabola. It's like an arc. And if you notice, the y-intercept for this is right here. It is negative 20. We just identified that. And arcs or parabolas, they have actually two x-intercepts, usually. Sometimes they have one, sometimes they have none. But we're going to start off with ones that have 2. So here we go. Here's one of them. Here's 2. And here's negative 10. Negative 10. Yeah, negative 10. Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. So this should be negative 10, not 10, not 8. Okay, spring break. All right, yeah, so negative 10 and 2. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so negative 10 and 2. Okay, so that's how you do x and y intercepts with linear and quadratic. Let's do an exponential one. Let's do number 10. Okay, so these are exponential. These are in the form of y equals ab to the power of x. And so let's do y-intercept first. So y-intercept means we make x into 0. Okay, so that's 2 to the power of 0 minus 1. Well, anything to the power of 0 is 1. So I have 1 minus 1. So the y-intercept is 0. It is. And so then, making the x-intercept. X-intercept means 0 equals 2 to the power of x minus 1. Alright, and what that means is, well, 1 equals 2 to the power of x. And if you remember, like anything to the power of 0 is 1, well, if I want to make this, that means, well, the x-intercept is 0. In other words, the x-intercept and the y-intercept for number 10 are the exact same thing. It's the point of origin. That can happen. Oh, see, the y-intercept is 0, the x-intercept is 0, though that means this graph goes through 0, 0. Let's graph it. So let's go back here. There's the parabola. Let's erase that. Let's go y equals 2 to the power of x minus 1. Okay. So this is what it looks like. Notice that it kind of goes parallel to the x-axis constantly, and right here, 0, 0 is the x and the y-intercept for this function. Okay, so that, I think, should be enough information for you to do well on this. So again, if you're solving for the x-intercepts or quadratic equations, you have to factor. Or you can just graph it, and it'll show you the answers. And that's it for this video. If you have any questions, please email me or Ms. Smiley. and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.